Let's talk about Tesla. When Tesla had their last earnings call, Elon Musk just said that for the next year, they are comfortably reaching 500,000 cars in sales. Now, this is obviously now not that much realistic anymore, or is it? Everything about it here in the show. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell, and also leave me a like for the YouTube algorithm. And we are diving directly into the presentation that I prepared to follow how Tesla could reach 500,000 cars and how realistic it is. And if you are new here to this channel, I'm vlogging every single day, plus doing almost daily now live streams as well about the stock market. It will be a crazy time if you are joining this community. 65% are not subscribed yet, so maybe the chance to not lose. And first of all, I want to dive with you into the assumptions of Tesla production worldwide, and I want to show you how we actually need to scale the production to reach the number of 500,000 cars sold, because it's also a different topic than cars produced. As we have seen in the last Q1 earnings, for example, we produced 103,000 cars, but delivered and therefore also sold was just about 88,000, so approximately 15% less than produced. However, this can change on the quarter and quarter. This always depends how is the inventory. Q4 is almost super strong. Sometimes you sell more than having the produced number. This can happen because you sell all the inventory. However, let's assume this number later on in the total down. Q1 we had 103,000 produced Teslas. Now, if we are going to the next quarter, I would say let's assume for now, for simplifying the calculation, that we can scale the production 30%. Moreover, in the Q3, we will also scale the production 30%, and then in the Q4, we will have the same productivity, or obviously the 30%, and again 30% can be spread over the next couple of quarters. It depends how really the current situation unfolds, and also it depends hugely how the plans of Tesla are to expand the capacity. Currently in the Q1 we had definitely the rebalancing of the production for the Model Y, which is almost the same parts, 75% same parts as the Model 3. So this was quite of a process obviously for Tesla, but I believe now as everything is more or less set up and they had now time to improve and upgrade their facility as they said they would, then I can imagine that these are interesting numbers. So if you are now calculating 103 plus 130 plus 170 plus 170,000 vehicles, you are ending at a total of about 573,000 vehicles, and then if you're taking the measures that I just explained beforehand, 85% of the produced cars will be sold and delivered. We are somewhere in the range of 487,000. So this is the very rough, simplified calculation how Tesla can reach 500,000 cars sold. Now, obviously, this means that this split of production need to be between US and the China factory, because the Tesla Germany is not yet online. It will be though very soon. So let's dive into the Q2 assumptions, Tesla production worldwide. So if we are looking into the number of 130,000 cars, which is the 30% more than they had last quarter, then we would need to have the quarterly number in China at around 36,000. Can be a little bit more or less, but these are numbers that we already know currently existing, because they said they are producing now at the pace of 3,000 cars per week. And as you can see, it's 3,000 cars per week, approximately 12,000 cars monthly, and then obviously 36,000 cars quarterly. So if we are deducting this from the 130,000, then we are around the 94,000 that the US plant need to produce to reach that number. And if you know the numbers of the US plant, that you know the 94,000 is not that big amount to be produced for the US plant, especially on the high capacity. And if they increase the capacity till now, this number can be easily reached, and 3,000 cars per week are already confirmed. So these numbers are actually realistic. So let's dive into the next one, Q3 assumptions. Here I put the weekly output of China already at 4,000 cars. This means that they will produce approximately 16,000 per month and 48,000 per quarter. And if we are taking the number of 170,000 and deduct the 48,000 from China, we are somewhere at the output at the US plant at 122,000, and if you are thinking, wow, this is a big number, how they can achieve that, and is this even realistic? I just put for you as a guidance the Q4 output of only US, because China was not producing any vehicles by then, was 109,000 vehicles. So this means that they would need to increase 10% more the output, and I think this is still quite realistic to do in Q3, right? So these numbers will evaluate to 170,000, and for the Q4, as I showed you before, if we are taking the same assumptions with not more, because in the end of the day, I don't think China can produce more than 4,000 vehicles at this point. Let's see, they said somewhere around 150,000 cars in total, so this would be, I think, the good assumption that you can make here. Now, the question is obviously the current thinking about Tesla, as we know, as they laid off a couple of employees, is that they are estimating they want to start off the next quarter on the 5th or 4th of May. And then obviously you can imagine that some parts maybe are missing. They need to ramp slowly up. People cannot work together. There's social distancing and so on and so forth. So you can see that actually maybe we are way off these numbers. And if we are looking into the Q2 assumptions again, then you see that monthly we would need to produce 30,000 cars in the US, and if they are missing for the months, then you can deduct this already from the overall output. And it's totally unpredictable how long this crisis will shut down economies. And not only that, imagine we are going back to work and then the cases spike up again, and then we going back to lockdown. This would shut down companies for months, and until we have a vaccine or proper medication, it's currently that we are sending people to work and we say, hey, if you don't care about getting sick and also go back home and your elderly get sick and maybe die. This is the current situation because there's no medication clearly, or not proper medication, and there's also the total health pressure system still ongoing. So I don't know, it's really hard to estimate, but I would say that maybe we are at the range of 350 to 400,000 vehicles realistically for Tesla. But again, this highly depends on the output that they can generate and when can they go back to work, right? When can the capacity can be back at full 100%, and how Tesla can be smart and lean about their production as well. And even if all this internal Tesla things are covered, think about the other outside factors like suppliers, parts, regulations, right? So there's a lot of question marks, and therefore it's very hard. But I would say the percentage is maybe 80 to 90% that the 500,000 cars are unfortunately not being sold this year. I know how hard Elon liked to work, how smart Tesla can be, how good they are on those numbers, and therefore, you know, I'm super happy to be an investor in this company. And as you might know, you know, I'm waiting for a downturn to buy more stocks. However, you know, think about it, what you make out of that, and let me know in the comments below.